Hello, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. How's Denise and Ron doing this evening?
Good. How you doing, Carl?
Oh, been doing pretty good. Just working up here. It finally cooled off for the last couple of days, but yeah, just about got the house finished in Chillicothe, and then we had to run to Jamesport today and take a tree out of somebody's roof that the wind blew in there Saturday. So,
Hey, Nigel.
hey, Nigel. Thanks for joining us and everything. I'm just trying to get our Rumble situated over here. There we go. We're good. So, but tonight, folks, we're going to talk paranormal, and we got a special guest with us that'll be joining us. Mike Rage from Rage Nation. So we'll bring Mike up. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, it's
Mike.
great. Great to see you here and everything. I've seen you in the comments the last couple of weeks talking about you've had paranormal experiences and your wife does too and everything. So I thought it'd be a great time to bring you on here.
Oh yeah, we're fascinated. My wife much more than I am. Just to let you know, she she falls asleep to paranormal stuff every single night. Yeah, we're always fascinated in that. It's another thing outside our regular hobbies.
Right. And you said you had a story about the paranormal up there in the house on the East Coast, wasn't it?
I got a ton of them. I mean, I grew up next to what once was the most haunted house in America, but I don't. You guys know the Spy House?
The which house?
Over in Atlanta, the Spy House over in New Jersey. It's like Atlantic Highlands, Leonardo area.
I used to live in Patterson, but I don't know anything about it.
I hadn't heard about that one.
Yeah, look it up. You guys will be fascinated. It's actually the first house built when the settlers came over into New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
And the original captain, not related to the alcohol, was actually named Captain Morgan.
I remember something about Captain Morgan. And it was Josh Gates. He did a episode that included Captain Morgan. Maybe not in New Jersey, but at least included him.
Yeah, if you look up that house, it was one of the most haunted houses in America at one time, and it's just awesome. I mean, it really is, and it's all original. I mean, after Hurricane Sandy came in and destroyed a lot of things, they had to rehab it a little bit, but everything inside is all original, all the furniture, everything. It's just an awesome place.
And you say you live next door to it?
I lived in the same town. I mean, I used to actually fish it. I used to fish the pier right behind it. So it's a little eerie when you're fishing all day long and you got that house right behind you every time you're fishing. But I mean, for me, I mean, I'm not scared of paranormal, so it is what it is. I have a lot of stories, though, funny stories with paranormal, especially within my family and things like that.
Well, we both do building and remodeling and construction deal there. Have you ever had a paranormal experience when you're working in a house and you leave your tools in there and you come back and they're moved or they're not in there?
Actually, well, I'll tell you a story about, I found a body in a house on Fulton Street in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And what happened was the house was robbed. It's in a bad area. And the crawl space washed out. So I had to go in and replumb everything because they stole all the copper. And sure enough, I'm working under there, and there's an arm laying right next to me. Old bones. They've been there forever. So long story short, that house was everywhere I worked in that house, if someone was looking over my shoulder. So the investors come after the house is finished, and I told them, I said, I'm not going in that house anymore. And they're like, why not? I said, I'm telling you, it's haunted. And these are young kids. They're laughing at me like, yeah, whatever. So we walk inside, footsteps, and I'm not talking about light footsteps, stomped across the upstairs. They all ran out like little girls. It was that house was there.
Did they
I was
house?
in that house for a couple of months. You know.
Oh,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, did they sell the house after they ran out?
Well, actually, it was already bought. So what happened was the investors used to take other investors, and we would rehab the house. They sold it at full market value. Long story,
Right.
but it was already actually sold. But that house was, I did a beautiful job. I mean, I replumbed the whole house, redid everything. But when I tell you haunted, every single day something happened in that house.
That's cool.
I know I've had a lot of different things like that go in where we work at in a house and go in and go. Now I know I left that in here and stuff, and I've even taken pictures when we leave of stuff in the house just in case it gets broke into until we get back and go in there and stuff is moved. And there's always sheetrock dust on the floor. There's no new footsteps in there. I've had that happen before.
Yeah, see, for me, I've had so many things. I mean, I'm in a lot of old houses, especially here in Oklahoma. I do a lot of the original houses and original rehabs, but I don't get a lot of paranormal out here like I did Jersey. Like Jersey was, it was everywhere.
Go to Guthrie.
What was that?
Go to Guthrie. You'll have a lot of paranormal activity in some of those old homes.
Yeah, I mean the houses here, because I'm on the main highway that actually used to be a cattle run from Oklahoma to Texas. My town's really not that old. It was started early 1900s, so it's really not that old. But the houses are from early 1900s, but not like Jersey. You know, Jersey, you have houses that were built in the late 1800s, and they're a little more active.
I'd like to say hey to Dara and Kelly.
Hey, Dara.
And
hey,
Julie.
Kelly and Julie.
So
Kelly over there still has paranormal activity in her house. There's a lot of houses out here. And Mike, Denise and Ron up there used to be the tour guides at the Sally House up in Atchison, Kansas. So, yeah, it at one time was noted as being the most haunted house in America at one time. So,
Yeah, I went to. I was telling you guys about the Civil War places. I'm trying to think of the name of the house. It was kind of a store. I forget what they called it. It was kind of a store with apartments above, but it was one of the most haunted places in Gettysburg. I forget the name of it. It'll come to me. It's at the tip of my tongue. But that was pretty crazy. We actually took 3 rolls of film, and nothing came out on the film whatsoever.
Is this store? Is this one that has a lot of clothing and stuff on the lower level, like a thrift shop?
Hold on.
What street?
You know what?
Main Street?
I'll look it up for you. I'll look it up for you right now. It's at the tip of my tongue. We found it because we were looking for paranormal stuff out there because we went out in the battlefield at like 2 a.m. and we did a lot of paranormal stuff out there. But I forget the name of it. I'll look it up. But it was a great place. There's a story that on the side window of the place that there's woman always appears.
That was like on the main road there. And I think
Was that the Jenny Wiley or
no,
Jenny Wiley?
It was down the street from it. Because it said it went all the way into town, the battle.
It did. Well, yeah, we stayed in a haunted hotel, so we didn't have to go out on the battlefield at 2:00 in the morning.
Well,
we had spirits in our room.
This hotel was actually used as a medical facility during the war. So
right.
I'll look it up, and I forget the name. I'm sorry. I should have been more prepared.
Hey, that's no problem, Mike. No problem at all.
Since I used to live in Baltimore, Gettysburg was one of those places that we went to on field trips from school. So I got to do that back in the 70s before the paranormal was cool. And so it was a lot different back in the 70s than it is now. It is so commercialized there. Everything is commercialized there, where before it was focused more on history. And Gettysburg it's a unique place to go, But the people that we met,
Yeah. How did you get on the battlefield? You said you're out there till 2:00 in the morning.
yeah, you can just go out there.
Really?
Well,
I
yeah,
heard you were supposed to be out there after dark.
we
They-
went out
they-
there well, because they don't bother you. They actually have now. I don't know if they're still
Okay.
doing it, but they have haunted tours now.
Right.
Shit
But
was-
we went out in the battlefield at like 2 in the morning. We just left our hotel and went. No one said nothing.
Right.
We went. We were in a few different places. We went to like Devil's Den, and we traveled all over Gettysburg. I'm fascinated with Civil War. So
Oh, yeah, me too. How long ago was it that you went out
that
there?
was probably about 20 years ago, honestly.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know,
changed
4
a lot
years.
up
Yeah,
there
you're
since
not even
then.
supposed to be out there after
before
dark.
Ruby was born,
No.
so it's been 6 years.
About 5 years at least.
Yeah, we wanted to stop there on our way back from New York when my sister's wife passed, but it just the time frame didn't work out for us. We left early. We wouldn't have made it to Gettysburg until late.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that was
even
my plan, was to go out on the battlefield at night, and that was one of the first things we were told is no, they'll arrest you if you're out there.
Yeah.
Then
that
add in the
sucks.
mountain lion that we saw.
Yeah, but
You know, you kind of don't want to be out there at night with a mountain lion roaming around.
You want to know what? They're more scared of you than anything. Trust me. I mean, I used to go out when I used to operate in the desert. There was every kind of animal out there you can think of, and you're out there. You're doing night operations, so everything's at night. Light restriction, no light, so you don't know what's around you, but they don't bother you.
So far, we haven't had any run-ins with bears or
no.
alligators, Florida panthers. None of those. Worst thing.
No, because
so far has
I
been
lived in Florida. You guys are in Florida now?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yep.
Yeah, I lived in Florida for about 9 years, 10 years. So I mean, I was down in Naples, and then I lived in Fort Denard on 530 acres, and I didn't see anything.
Yeah. Well, we just had one of the neighbors in Pace. We're in Milton. Pace is right next door. They just shared a video of a bear climbing over their fence. So this is less than 4 miles away. The bear in Destin, the one that swam ashore, that's not that far. We're straight north of there, just about. And then the alligator that swam ashore at Dauphin Island, that didn't really help. You know, there's bad enough. There's enough shit in the ocean to kill you. Let's add in bears and alligators now. You know, so
the alligators, though, that's my fear. When I used to do full-time RV living, and I was at a fish camp once, and there was a 15-foot alligator every single day down at the bottom of the pier.
Yep.
just waiting for
And
you.
I mean, yeah, and he was only 4 feet below us. You know, kind of makes you a little eerie, but Florida didn't bother me. And my new house now that I bought over here in Oklahoma, we just seen a bear in the backyard about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So,
Yeah,
Oh,
so
I didn't
far,
know
like
you
I
had
said,
bears in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
they
oh
ride
yeah,
it.
we got everything. We got panthers, bobcats, bears. I mean, everything's here.
About
The
the
only
same thing, about
Bigfoot.
everything we have in Missouri up here.
It's legal to hunt Bigfoot in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
may have to all come visit just so we can. But at this point, we're just waiting to see what we get to see here, animal wise. So far, I think the only thing we've seen has been a
Yeah, I've seen a-
blue-tailed skink.
Seen a
And-
snake on my walk. Wow. I walk. It's along the Black River,
And I saw a frog. It was
so you should see snakes.
the size of my fingernail. Bright green tree frog. And I don't know how I saw it because I'm blind as a bat. But yep, I was just walking through the yard and this little bitty frog was hopping through there. I thought it was a grasshopper. But so
See,
far-
where I lived in Florida, we had everything. We had deer and hogs and coyotes, and I mean, everything was around.
I mean, we might have it. I just
Yeah, we
haven't
do.
seen it yet.
Yeah.
Right.
And I haven't heard it yet. I think we're too non-rural. We're too city. I mean, there's only 11,000 people in the town we live in. But
We're
you
only,
know,
I don't know, maybe 3 miles from the river, if that.
That's like James Black over on Rumble said had a mountain lion attack a dog here outside of Owasso, Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, that's next town over from me.
Yeah, he had a mountain
Yeah.
lion attack a dog over there outside his house.
Yeah, I'm over at Wagner now, but we bought the house in Fort Gibson. So Wagner, you don't see nothing. I mean, it's too like where they live. It's too commercial. There's not a lot. I mean, there's a lot of fishing. There's coyotes around, on the farmlands because I'm backed up to the farmlands. So there's a lot of coyotes and deer. That's about it. Fort Gibson though is a different ball game out in the wood because our house is in the middle of the woods, so you see everything.
Oh yeah,
Well, that's good. That's the way to live, and especially in that area, you might check your grounds. How many acres you got down there on your new house?
Well, 4.5. We bought it thinking it was only 2.5, and it was never surveyed. And when we went through everything, it actually turns out to be about 4.5.
Oh, that's good.
Hopefully, it's
But-
not all mowing.
A lot of it, and we just cleared 1.5 acres. So I got about 1.5 acres uncleared, and the rest is all cleared.
And yes,
Good.
Julie, we finished moving. We're still trying to find the garage floor.
finished enough.
Finished enough for now, but yeah, we're in the house. We're living. I'm cooking. I'm doing other things that I normally do, including Carl, which we didn't talk about. What's been going on? I got to meet the emergency room team at the hospital on Friday.
Why?
So
Why not?
again, part of living rural is that the hospital's 45 minutes away. Part of not living rural is the hospital's a mile down the road. And when you have heart problems, the mile down the road is much better than the 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
So
True.
so needless to say, we expedited me meeting my new cardiologist. So I'll meet her in about 2 weeks. So
Good deal.
but yeah, I mean, and is that hospital haunted? I don't think so. If it is, nothing showed up like in the past in different hospitals in Kansas City and stuff. But yeah, that's one of the things that we got to do on Friday. We didn't know what was going on, and I told him, I said, my arms are burning, my legs are burning. I don't know what's wrong.
What's his name?
And he goes, well, what do you think we need to do? And I said, I think I need to go to the ER, because I'm not established with anybody but my regular doctor. The bad part about moving is you've got to reestablish all that stuff, as you've already found out. You can't just up and show up at a doctor's office and say, hi, I'm here, I'm sick, help me. They send you somewhere else. And so we went and they did all the things they're supposed to do. And the only thing that they said that was unusual was that they would watch my heart go into AFib and watch it recover quickly. And this is, usually I have an episode at night, like between 10 and midnight. Seems like almost midnight. This one was during the day. I had 3 episodes. And what they were concerned about was that my heart rate was like 45, 46.
Yeah, that's what I was watching.
And then
And
107.
then it go up to 100.
And then back down. And so the only thing they've done now is gone and said, you have this now, the low heart rate, along with the high heart rate suddenly, and then the AFib. No wonder I feel like shit. My heart doesn't know what in the hell to do. It doesn't know whether to go to sleep or run a mile.
Well, you get down to 30s, you're like close to death.
I know.
Well, with all the stress you've had in the moving and everything recently and
This
stuff.
is the moving wasn't even stressful.
Wow.
It's the job. I mean, I hate to say this, people, but working full time and moving, one or the other. You can't do both.
Well, we also had barking puppies all night.
That night, the night before.
Yeah.
that night before.
So, but it's better now. I mean, you can't hear them
Which
now.
led to everybody getting pissed off and led to fight and not good.
Disagreements.
Yeah.
Listen, I know how you feel. You have to remember this. I'm sure you guys are a great team, but remember, it doesn't matter what happens today, it's how you deal with it tomorrow.
We got lots of other people living here.
Yeah, it's not just us.
Yeah, they got a big family.
And it was puppies that should have been gone weeks ago.
No, I understand. Listen, I understand because we take care of, I mean, besides my wife being sick, we take care of our grandmother and her aunt. And we own 2 businesses, and we just bought a house at the height of our grow season. So our stress level's up here, but we try to maintain.
Doesn't take much.
So what is your business?
Well, we own a construction company, and then we own a super hot pepper farm.
Okay.
So we're one of the largest in the United States when it comes to super hot peppers, and we sell nationwide, products worldwide, but fresh peppers nationwide. So we sell nonstop. You know, especially right now, it's the height of the grow season. We sell a lot.
Yeah.
Our niece's husband and his dad grow a lot of peppers. They're the Steens. I don't know if you know anybody else in the business, but that's what they do.
Business. They do it on the side.
Max said they were selling the seeds.
They're selling some, but
So they're selling.
Yeah, the seed industry is tough. The market's very watered down because everything's so cross-pollinated. Like we just set the record for the world's hottest pepper. So we beat out the Carolina Reaper by a lot. And we don't sell seeds or anything like that. We don't want the pepper to become watered down because people grow them, they cross-pollinate them, they try to sell them for the original strain, and it just doesn't work out that way. They cross very easily. So, it's a crazy business. It is.
So how hot are your peppers? What is the Scoville scale for your peppers?
I have a range, but most of them are above a Ghost, above a Reaper. Most of the peppers we sell are the hottest of the hot.
And why is that? I mean, not why.
We got a lot of pepper eaters in this house.
Why are your peppers?
If you want the honest to God truth, when COVID hit, I knew construction was going to tank. Building material went through the roof. Right. We had to come up with something, and we have a huge garden every year. And I looked up the projection rate of super hot peppers and where it was going, and it had like a 7.3% growth rate till 2028. And I said, why not? Let's do it. Next thing you know, we have about 9 different hot sauces. We make skincare products. We do everything with capsaicin. It's all natural. So we don't just do the super hot. There's a lot of other things to it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So,
I like them hot, but I also like, some of good flavor too.
Like
and with super hot peppers, once you get past the extreme heat, there's a lot of different flavor. There's sweet and there's bitter and there's just floral. There's all different flavors within the super hot peppers.
Julie said spicy beer ?
Yeah.
There's people that have.
Yeah, you could do that.
Because we've seen habanero moonshine.
Habanero beer,
Well, we've seen habanero moonshine.
Yeah.
We've seen jalapeno moonshine. Actually sold in the stores before they were doing it on TV and stuff. We were seeing it in a bunch of different distilleries because we go to a lot of distilleries. We like going. So
there's a lot of experimentation. We actually supply other companies. I can't say which ones, but with spicy beverages and hot sauces and we supply a lot of different companies in the United States with peppers.
Well, for being smart enough to see this coming.
Thank you. It's all my wife now. I take care of a lot of the construction. She takes care of most of the pepper business. I mean, all the packing and shipping, and we have 5 growers that we contract across the United States. So she deals with all of that, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah,
She's right
that's
in
a
front of
lot.
me right now, making boxes and ready to pack up peppers and ship them out, even though she don't feel good.
No, I wanted to be on the show.
And she wants to be on the show.
I
She's going to
know.
make an appearance soon.
I know.
Well, that shows dedication.
It does.
Well, she don't stop. I mean, it's from more. I mean, we wake up 3:34 in the morning, get a game plan, and then she's going by 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, starting to pack orders.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have a passion for something.
Yeah, it's good. I didn't lose my passion, but I'm just so busy with construction, it's hard to focus. And then with the building and the moving, I think once we are in the new house and the farm is set up there, we'll be a little better off. I'll be able to
Right.
enjoy it more.
Julie wants to
asked
know if
me
you
at a
have a
website.
website.
Oh yeah, well you can find us on Etsy, Inked Gardener. Inked like tattooed gardener. You can find us everywhere. We're everywhere.
So, perfect. So let's go back to this paranormal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I can tell basically. I mean, as soon as you talked, I knew where area you were from, because that's how my whole family talks. So, I don't, but they do. So, so you grew up next to this house in Monmouth, or in that area in Monmouth? And,
Yeah, Mama. Yeah.
And so, did that spark an interest in the paranormal, or is it just like, oh, that happened and off you went?
Well, no, you know what? That house is just one of many in Jersey. I mean, there's a lot of, obviously, there's a lot of different paranormal things in Jersey. I have a history of my family likes to haunt relatives, if that makes sense. So my family is very active, even though they're not around anymore. So there's a lot of paranormal, and you get used to it,
So what do they like to do? Play jokes on
What
you?
was that?
What do they like to do?
Oh,
Like to hide
everything
stuff
you can think of.
move stuff?
Everything you can think of. I have my cousin John, who passed away when he was 27. He was one of my best friends, and he's a jokester. He does a lot of funny stuff, not just to me, to my aunt, to my uncle, to everybody. My grandfather doesn't really appear to us much. Appears to the kids more. Since they were born, he's been appearing to the kids. And then I got a few other family members, oddballs, like my oldest son used to talk to my Uncle Benny, and my Uncle Benny was dead 15 years before my son was even born. So so a lot of crazy. And when he mentioned Uncle Benny, he's like, yeah, I'm talking to Grandpa and Uncle Benny. I'm like, because at 2 years old, he used to talk to nobody.
Right.
I was like, who are you talking to? And yeah, crazy. What was that?
I said they can't lie at that age; they're too small.
Right.
Well, it's crazy. When my son was born, I remember he was young and he couldn't walk. He couldn't even crawl. And he was sleeping on my chest on the couch. And I woke up in the morning. And he was in the middle of the living room, and my grandfather was hovered over him. My grandfather was passed on at the time. That freaked me out a little bit. But my grandfather, he doesn't appear much anymore, but he used to a lot. He used to be really active. Now my son's 18, so it's not, I really haven't, he doesn't really appear to me.
That's why he needs to be hanging out more. He needs to be hanging around him more at 18.
Well, what's funny is he was named after my grandfather. My son was the first born male in 23 years. We had all girls. And my grandfather on his deathbed, that was the first thing he said. He said, "You better name that boy after me." And that was that. I got like I said, my family, they all show up, they all make appearances. My aunt, and I don't know, what's that famous guy, John
Edwards.
Yeah, so I don't know how much you believe in him. But my grandmother's been to 4 shows with him, and every single time she goes, he's directly talking to her about my grandfather.
He's a fraud.
I thought the same thing.
I can tell you why. Okay.
Okay.
Talking about John Edwards or
John Edwards. Not
Okay.
They wouldn't be talking about Johnny Zappis.
No.
So John Edwards actually mics up the audience and the waiting area and other things like that, and also researches the people that are coming to his shows.
They have to fill out a questionnaire or form when they get in there before they go into the show. Everybody
to make
does.
sure that it's okay for him to speak about anything that they get.
Right.
and they have to pay with a credit card, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can't just up and pay cash to go in. And so it's the same as
They want every way they can to check and research you.
the Long Island
It's
Medium,
like
same thing. And I don't know why, but
Oh, is that's that short hair woman, right?
well, she's got big hair, but she's from
I
Long Island.
I thought she was always a fake anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
she is. And I'm just telling you from experience. I mean, when they said John Edwards was coming to Kansas City, all I could do was laugh. I mean, it's easy money. I mean, he was out of the country here for like 15 years.
I had asked you one day. I said, "Whatever happened to John Edwards?" She said, "Oh, he had
He got caught.
he had to go.
Oh yeah, they busted
sit
him
out for a while.
on
Yeah, he
fraud
went
and
overseas.
all that stuff
Yeah,
on the show.
But
he was
everybody.
on TV all the time, and all of a sudden, gone.
The thing is
Mhm.
everybody, even when they're fake, get lucky sometimes. And maybe he really did see something for your family. But
Well, it makes it harder for the ones that really can see and
Yeah,
can really talk to them.
You know,
there's some really
it,
good ones out there.
it would make sense because my family is very well known all over. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Because my name Mike Rage is a pseudonym. I've been using it for very long. I use it for business purposes.
right.
So, but my family is very well known. So it is a possibility.
You just never know. And I'm always okay. I see spirits. I can talk to spirits. I'm into all this stuff. But I also can see how people can defraud someone very quickly because of the way that they carry themselves in certain situations. If I was to walk up to somebody in the grocery store, like the Long Island Medium does, I would expect that person to either knock the shit out of me or go. and I wouldn't blame them in the least because it's none of my business. But if you look at somebody my age, you can tell that I've lost somebody in my life, whether it's a mother or a father, because I'm over 50. Okay. I've lost somebody who's a mother figure or a father figure. Period. We know that. I've apparently probably lost grandparents as well.
right.
And 50% of women have lost a child. And I hate to say that because it's sad that people would prey on something like that. But a lot of people are out there trying to make a dime off of your hope that there is a life after death, that there is a message that you didn't get. And I just caution people to do a background check on the person that you're seeing. Don't tell them anything. If they
Right.
come up to you and they start talking to you
And
don't-
asking you
don't
questions.
react. Don't react to anything that they say, and let them get all the way done before you start, validating anything, because they're going to feed off of your reaction. So if you suddenly you sit up and you start listening more, they're going to take that as a positive that they've said something that you need to. So a lot of it's going to be, they know body language and they know it well. If you sit there like this the whole time, you're closed, they're not going to get much out of you.
Right.
If you don't react. They don't like that.
you'll
But
find
It'll
that
be a true reading.
you'll find that the really good mediums that actually know what the hell they're talking about, they're not asking questions. They're telling you.
They're telling
they're
you what
seeing.
they see.
Yeah.
And me and Ron had both
So,
seen that
I mean-
one and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, from one
So
particular. Yeah,
I've never really had experience with mediums. Like I've never went to a psychic. I've never,
right. I haven't
you
either.
know.
me either.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really dealt with mediums. I know from my own experience. Like I had a stroke when I was 19. I could tell you the whacked out experience about that. You know,
19.
yeah, 19 years old. Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a stroke. I ran myself. I never slept 2 to 4 hours a night. I lived off of coffee and nicotine, and I worked a lot. At the time, I owned a pizza place, and I was working about 96 hours a week nonstop, and my body just said enough was enough.
That'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then I mean that was a crazy time. Because I don't know how long I was even in the hospital. I'd never even got a clear answer from my family of how long I was actually there. I remember being out of my body, walking around, watching everybody talk to me while I was laying in the hospital bed. I don't remember anything else. That's all I remember.
Wow.
And a nasty nurse. I had this. Huh?
Did you have to relearn how to do a lot of things?
No, actually, no. I still have a thing where my brain and my hand don't work together. So sometimes I'm holding a cigarette and it'll fall out of my hand. It's kind of hard to explain. But I really
Right.
didn't have any effects too bad. It was kind of like a grand mal seizure at first. What happened was I had a grand mal seizure. My heart stopped. They resuscitated me twice in my apartment, and then I had like I guess it was a minor stroke or whatever it was. But I didn't go paralyzed or lose any function really.
Yeah.
Did you have a out of body experience at that time?
Yeah, that was my outer body experience. But all I remember was walking around the hospital room, watching everybody talk to me. I don't know how long I was there. I remember a nasty nurse that was really nasty to me. I do remember that.
How
Because
nasty can somebody be
Man.
to somebody who's out cold?
I was incoherent.
What was she
Well, I was
doing?
incoherent.
Was she yelling at you or what?
She was yelling at me. I can't. She was so nasty.
Oh, wow. Well,
Mm.
that was New Jersey, right?
Yeah. And that was. And I'll say it because I don't care, but that was actually Red Bank Hospital. I forget what it's called, but it was Red Bank, New Jersey. And that lady was nasty. And I remember her. Like I remember watching her yell at me because I was incoherent and I barely could talk. So I was calling people different names. Like people in my family, I was talking to them, but I was calling them different names. And she was so nasty.
Oh, wow.
Well, we're glad you made it through that experience. Yeah. That sounds scary, as well as.
Yeah, I was young. I'm too stubborn to die. That's the way I look at it.
Well, it always interested Denise because she's had out of body experiences from little age.
That was the only one I've ever.
So, and the thing is I don't know if that's an out of body experience or a near death experience.
Or both.
Oh, sorry, I had someone calling in. Sorry about that.
It's
That's
okay.
all right.
So, but do you feel
Sorry
it was an out of body versus? Okay. Do you feel like it was an out of body experience versus a near death experience?
Yeah, I don't think it was death. I didn't feel like I was dying. It was just outer body. It was being in the room, but being able to see myself laying in the hospital bed. And I was kind of pacing around the room and watching everything that was going on and watch people come in and visit me and talk to me. I don't think it was a death experience.
Okay. Well, I think you would know because you'd probably, everybody talks about the bright light and the feeling of warmth. And
you didn't get any
stuff.
messages from anyone else or anything? Or okay.
I didn't hear nothing, get nothing, see a light, nothing. It was just kind of like I was there, but I wasn't there.
All right.
So.
Yeah, that's something else. Especially if you can remember it for that many years since that happened. It's still vivid in your mind.
Well, you don't forget something like that. That's one thing you don't forget. You know.
No.
That's where I
And
was
like
going.
I said, there wasn't too much memory with it. So it was just pretty much I was walking around my own hospital room. I was I mean, there wasn't really much memory with it. I didn't experience anything crazy.
Sorry, there's no cars behind our house and everything changed.
A flash of light.
I was like,
I don't know what that was.
it was a orange neon colored shirt.
Oh.
So it was like, what?
The maintenance guy walking by?
No, our son-in-law was walking by. So he wears a lot of neon colors. So
Hi, Barb.
So what would you tell someone? Okay, not assuming that you've done a whole lot of investigating or anything like that, because I don't know you that well yet. What would you tell someone about the paranormal that intrigues you?
I'm just fascinated what's beyond what we know as human beings. So I'm fascinated, and it's a lot of things. It's not just paranormal, but I'm fascinated with, our minds, what our minds are capable, but not only our minds, but everything else that's around us, because everything's energy. There's a lot of energy around us. I'm very into energy, and I don't know if you know what orgone generators are and things like that. I'm into positive energy and things like that. So, I mean, for me, I'm just fascinated with everything that I don't know. I'm one of those people who like to research everything I don't know. Even God is fascinating. Even God is fascinating to me, because there has to be a creator of all, but we'll never see him. We don't know. We're living this life and we're having faith, but we're not. And I'm not going to make this about God, because I have my own relationship with God. Right. But I'm just saying, in that sense, it's a being that's there that most people talk to every single day, religious or not. But he's not. It's the faith that keeps you talking to him.
Exactly. But like you said, in the paranormal, and it always helps in our professions and everything as construction workers to debunk a lot of stuff. You go to a house, it's creaking. Well, it's an old house. What do you expect?
Expansion and contraction, during the heat and the cold. I mean, there's a lot of different things where you can debunk certain things. I have actually a question for you, because what do you think about, like, the gray aliens and the aliens that people see that manifest themselves?
It depends on on how you think, because for some people, they see those gray aliens as demons, not really aliens. So you got to keep that in mind. So, so you've got that issue, and then the next thing that you have is, if they truly are from another dimension, are they from another dimension, or are they from another solar system? Things like that. I believe that we can't be the only intelligent life out there, because there's a lot of stupid people these days that have ruined intelligent for all of us. But
there's a lot of things that aren't explained yet. Just like you said.
I have a theory behind stupid people, but I have a theory behind that. But like Amy, like you always used to see her talk about aliens and different things besides actual spirits. And for an individual like me, it intrigues you, because if she is as real as she seems, she's seeing other things that a lot of not even mediums don't see that, so it's just intriguing. That's why I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Well,
yeah, like I said,
that opinion, one of those. Denise, do you still have that picture on your computer from the paranormal photographer? That after our show, he took that picture?
Probably. I'd have to remember his name. So
I don't know. I just call him the paranormal photographer that we had.
Oh,
on
yeah, that
show.
guy. Yeah, that was.
He had
took
some
a
really interesting pictures.
Yeah, he's got a book out with pictures in it, but he was on a radio show. And right after the radio show, he took a picture outside his window and sent it to Denise immediately. We counted 13 different ghosts and aliens in this picture. It was
See,
weird.
for me, that's fascinating.
It was. I mean,
Let me see if I can
it got
find
me and Denise looking at it real quick. I don't know if she's got it or not. And
I don't know if it was Photoshopped or.
I don't think it was
he did a really
Photoshopped.
good
It
job.
was
It went
taken with
fast.
his phone.
Well, he could already had it made too.
Yeah, he could have, but it was intriguing because he was telling a story about a paranormal experience with the spirits that he seen, and he described them.
Yeah. It
And then
takes
when
long
he
to
took
find
his
it.
picture, we could find those
I can't
spirits.
do it. We can't do it.
Yeah,
because
Barbara,
it's
I
drag
watched
down
that
the
video. That was all
connection.
made up stuff on that video you sent me.
So I want to say hello to Amy, our neighbor, who's listening right now.
Oh,
She
awesome.
is.
So, because she sent me a message and I did see it. I haven't read the whole thing because I don't want to be reading while I'm on here. But
Right.
I want to say hi to her. But yeah, I would look that picture up, but it's going to slow down the connection because I'm running 4 scripts over here for work. And I
Right.
don't want to stop those to do that and then lose you guys. So
Exactly.
but yeah, I'll find it and I'll send it to you, Mike, so you can see it. And I think
It's
a
a-
lot of people on here.
Definitely.
It's interesting. We'll put it that way.
Yeah,
It,
it's
it makes you look at it real close. Is this photoshopped and brought in, or is it, when we first looked at it, we could see this and this. And the more we looked at it, we could see little, what you would call a gray alien shaped head.
see
with
more.
eyes.
Yeah, the guy does tours in Old Williamsburg, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, you saw that story. I don't know if you saw that story. I don't know the guy's name, but he took a picture, and he was a paranormal investigator, I think, and he actually took a picture and thought it was a ghost until someone actually contacted him and told him, no, that's a gray alien. And then the government was all over him.
No, I didn't see that. Was it recent?
I'll ask Tammy. There's actually a documentary on it where he explains everything, how the government came after him and how it came about, because he took a picture of this alien and he posted it online. I mean, not alien. Well, he thought it was a ghost, and he posted it online, and someone out of nowhere contacted him and said, that's not a ghost. That's an alien. And when they actually started looking at it and blew it up, they realized what it actually was. And the government was all over this guy. Trying to take all his research, trying to take everything from him. I'll find out the name of the guy. I'm sure if he's a paranormal investigator, you know who he is.
Oh, probably. Right. I'm one of those people. I tend to know everybody. I just don't. Since April, I haven't kept up with everybody.
Right.
And way too busy with real life than to focus on afterlife.
What do you guys all think about?
I understand that. Being in politics and doing everything I've done, I actually took an 8-month break.
Oh yeah.
After 10 years, me and my wife took an 8-month break and we didn't pay attention. I mean, we still paid attention, but we weren't active, and you lose a lot. You lose a lot of, it's tough to get back in.
Well, right. But the thing is you gain back so many brain cells when you're not focused on
right. When you get off of social media for a while, you get relaxed and everything. But
yeah, I think I get on social media maybe 3 hours a week anymore. Since I'm not promoting my show or anything like that, I'm just doing what I need to do. Basically keeping up with family. We don't have satellite, so we're still not watching anything but OP Live because you can't miss OP Live.
And I used to drive around and listen to
Talk
radio, and so I don't know what's going on.
Well, you look at what Skinwalker Ranch is doing now. They're live 24/7 on their website now. That you have to pay for and stuff.
We didn't know that either.
Yeah, that's a wild and crazy place out there.
Oh yeah, I'd love to go there.
Oh yeah, but they won't let you on the property.
I know.
That's the bad part.
I know.
You know what's bad is driving through Utah. It's so remote and desolate anyway. It's just, how would you even know if you were even close by, since they don't really tell you where it is? Just near what town, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that'd be hard to find altogether.
I'm sure someone's got the coordinates.
Oh, I'm sure they do. If not, everybody could figure out watching the show where this mountain is and that plateau is like that. Google Earth will show it to you somewhere. You know.
Oh yeah, just like Area 51. You can see it from, but the thing is it's not clear.
Right.
And we've got Devin has a good friend that has this weird job, and he flies every day from Vegas to somewhere. He's not allowed to say. Every day.
He doesn't know where. That's why.
And he's contracted, you know.
He doesn't know where he's at.
Yeah, he has no clue where in the hell he's at, other than he's doing this every day, and that he's contracted for 18 months or 2 years or something. And so, you know, everybody's minds go to Area 51 because, you know, he says he's not in the air more than 20 minutes.
It's not necessarily Area 51.
No, not
right.
necessarily.
I have theories behind that too, and I don't want to get into my conspiracy theories. But if you ever look up the map, maps of 1587, you'll know what I'm talking about.
You know, we've been out by Area 51 a few times. There's another Air Force base out there that Ron didn't even know existed.
I've never heard of.
Right on the main highway. I think it's a decoy.
Well, there's a lot of things out there that you never heard of because remember, people only follow flight patterns and they only follow certain airports. They never explore outside of actually what's there. And it's not like back in the day when Amelia Earhart was exploring and flew, you know what I'm saying?
Flying anywhere she wanted, yeah.
So people are worried about gas and they're following flight patterns. But I'm telling you, like I said, look up the maps of 1587 and you're going to go, man, Mike's onto something crazy. And I'm telling you, it'll change your whole perspective of what's really around us.
Hi, Gary.
Well,
hey, Gary.
Same as you mentioned Amelia Earhart. There's a lot of lies about that woman. You guys need to check that out. Check out where she was truly born, not where they say she was born. Just keep that.
There's a lot of lies about everything, but this is supposed to be paranormal. I'm trying to keep it.
But the thing is when you're into the paranormal, conspiracy theories go along with it. Why are they trying to keep all the paranormal stuff quiet? Why, you know, is there something?
Listen, it's all political. If I told you the real story about the Titanic, people would think I'm nuts. You know, if I told you that Titanic was purposely sunk and hence why JP Morgan opened Federal Reserve the next year, you'd be like, oh my God, he's right. But, you know, I'm trying to keep politics out of paranormal.
The thing is you can't, because there's been some places where we've gone where the people doing the tours make it political. You know, they'll ask questions like some people will go, what do you think this person would think about the current president? And the person leading the tour goes, you don't want to know what he'd say, you know, or, you know, my God, he'd be so excited for this president, you know, things like that, trying to push their political views on the spirits, you know, or to you to make you think. And you read the history of that.
But the spirit she was talking about in this case was very good friends with Abraham Lincoln. So,
and apparently the spirit loved Obama.
But
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
don't believe.
right.
anyway,
Yeah. Henry
Mike,
McPike
when you-
really
when you
liked
went to all the,
I don't
Let's
think
not do politics here.
no, we'll do it on another show. But
no, but
when
you
you-
want to hear
when you
something
went-
funny?
go ahead.
What was that?
When we were in Atchison, we helped out other groups too. I said when we were doing tours in Atchison up at Sally House, we'd also help other people, with overnight tours or walking tours, or they had one as a graveyard tour. Okay, she would go around and actually, I don't know, there were different symbols and signs and everything. I didn't know.
Yeah, called iconology.
Yeah, but it was really interesting. And every time we went and helped Liz, every time we'd have people ask after it, it's usually toward the end of the tour, she'd point out, famous people that were buried there.
Key graves.
Every time we would say, where is Amelia Earhart buried at?
Somebody would ask.
Every time. I'm like, really? Yeah. Are you serious?
Because her grandparents were buried in the cemetery. So they would assume.
I thought, okay, well, I guess you knew we haven't found her yet, right?
Right.
So political, but not political.
Right. But when you went out to these places like you was at Gettysburg and different places like that, did you ever use any paranormal equipment?
No, I was at the time. I think I was not that I was too young. I never knew. It wasn't about the equipment. Like I said, we did take photographs of certain things.
I know they had been.
but for me, here's the thing. Whatever spirits are around me, I'm not scared of. I mean, listen, they've got me this far in life. Whoever's around me, whoever's protecting me. So, I mean, can't be all that bad. Right. Do I believe in a lot of evil spirits? Yes. I come from a house in Hazlitt, New Jersey, in Monmouth County that was very, very haunted. I mean, very haunted my whole entire life. And it seemed like that bad, I want to say karma, but those bad spirits followed me for quite some time afterwards, even after we sold the house and I left. But that house was pure evil. I mean, pure evil. I had a lot of mental battles in that house.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, and it was my childhood house. It was a house I grew up in. It just, for some reason, it just was not a good house.
I think we all have something that was a catalyst in our past that either got us to believe in the paranormal or got us to not believe. Whatever, however you want to say that. Whatever. I mean, if you had nothing happen, it's still a catalyst, for nothing to happen. But, my one sister, she does not care for the paranormal at all. She has no desire, but she likes mediums. She thinks that she needs to go see Teresa Cavuto all the time. Okay. Which is fine for her. I've gotten her in with a couple mediums that I felt were more reputable in the time. And then I have another sister that the only paranormal thing she wants is to talk to my mother, her mother, of course. And that's all she wants. She doesn't care if there's anybody else out there to talk to her. That's all she wants. Me, on the other hand, I've always been this way ever since I can remember. Maybe my sisters were and decided that they didn't want to see it anymore until later in life, at least the one that wants to see. I don't know you've just always been interested in the paranormal.
Oh, yeah, but
you've had stuff happen.
But yeah, I've had things happen, but just from all the investigations. I mean,
You want to come on, Mother?
we've seen way too many things to.
Oh yeah, we've seen a
Yeah.
lot of things that
I've
cannot
heard a
be
lot of things, seen
explained
what I
or
mean, it just proves
any
everything.
of that.
To try to pick
My wife is actually going to join us for a few minutes.
Okay, great.
Yay,
Great.
Tammy.
I'm not dressed.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Well, this is way too high.
Go ahead and move that out of here.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi, sorry guys. This chair is just way too high. We should
It's okay. You're fine.
We should switch.
Somebody's got to work.
Sorry guys. Look, I'm a mess. I'm sorry. I've been doing work all day.
Yep.
Hey, that's like all of us.
Babysitting.
Since 7,
She's babysitting me all the time.
we had all the grandkids at 7 o'clock. Well, we had all the grandkids, but at 7 o'clock we had the first two, and then the others woke up around 11, and I was working the whole time. So, yay.
Right.
So
Tammy, you're into the paranormal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
I have
what
been for
what-
years and years.
So
What
what was
got
your
you-
catalyst for the paranormal that got you involved or interested in it?
I mean, I guess it would probably just be my stepdad, because he would always watch shows like that. And so I would sit there and watch it with him and found it incredibly interesting. And then we've had some things happen in some houses that we've lived in. So, it would kind of validate the shows, or at least the perception of a show. Like, yes, there's something else going on. Not only am I watching it, because some of the shows are kind of fake, but
Right.
now me, my family, people I know, we've witnessed things. I'm like, okay. And so that's what really brought my interest up was
I totally forgot about your parents' house. I totally forgot the
Well,
other
we've
side of
lived-
the house.
We've lived in a few houses that had things going on. So I guess that's probably how it started. Just, I went from watching the shows and just enjoying the suspense of it and the wonderment of it to then connecting it to, oh, wow, you know what? Things did happen over here, or then things started happening in a house that we moved into. And so that's what it was, really.
What was the most profound thing to happen to you guys?
I'll tell you that it was so strange. So we were living in a house, it's called the Henrietta House. And it was one of the first stops in the Adirondacks, one of the first buildings in the Adirondacks, bed and breakfast that travelers would go through. It's called the Henrietta House. You can look it up online. And at the time, my father's mother was living with us. And she was downstairs and she was making orzo soup. And I kept hearing her yelling for my younger sisters. And she kept yelling at them and yelling, stop, go outside if you're going to yell. And, and I'm like, what is she even doing? I'm like, so I go downstairs and I'm like, Graham, what are you doing? And I heard like a kid scream or screech or whatever. And at the time, my sisters were younger. They were, 7 and 8. They were younger kids. And she goes, my Graham, she was an old Italian crabby lady. And she's like, you got to tell them to stop screaming so much. I can't concentrate. And I'm like, Graham, they're not even home. Like Morgan and Casey are with my parents. And she's like, what? And like, it was just like this. And my Grammy's like, she's not a person to lie. Like, she's just very whatever. And I'm like, and I just sat there for a minute and I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, they've been running around the house screaming. They've been outside screaming. And I'm like, and mind you, the Henrietta House, 25 bedroom house, 25 room house. So you could be in one end of the house and you don't hear, you are at the other, you know what I mean? But that house was so weird. So that happened. She told my parents when they got back, and my dad's like, yeah, he's like, this house is definitely haunted. And they had experiences. My mom doesn't like to talk about it though, because she doesn't, for her, talking about it means you welcome it in. And so she doesn't ever talk about it, but you could walk down the long hallway upstairs and you just felt like as you're walking by rooms, like something was watching you, or you just felt like somebody was right behind you. And you always just wanted to like either get into the bathroom or get into your bedroom. Definitely a strange house. You should look it up. Henrietta House. It's pretty creepy.
Kind of reminds me of something
Man.
Frank said about his family, Italian family as well. Frank Bennett, he had said something about his mother being the same way as your grandmother. Not talking about it. Things may have happened, but nope, got it. Can't talk about it. Just got to,
Yep.
Because I was raised during a time where you didn't talk about that you could see. You didn't talk about that you had an out of body experience. Because if you did, they were locking you up, 1970, 1972, 1975, you're going to hell in a handbasket, Denise. I'm sorry, but you're going to get locked up if you tell anybody that you saw that,
Yeah.
And I remember telling my mom stuff and her face just going way down, like, oh my God, my daughter's crazy. So
yeah, the house that my parents live in now, I've seen 3 orbs, and my parents actually have an orb on camera. Because my sister, she was in a really bad car accident, and so they had cameras set up because they had to be able to see her at night in case she needed anything. And they have and they showed it to me. It looks pretty real because I always try to debunk everything. But so they have something going on in her room, and my dad's like, yeah, that's my mom, that's Grammy. And I've seen orbs in that house, but on the other side upstairs, and I won't go up there. I've told them, you need something from that side of the house, don't ask me to get it, because I'm never going up there again. So the Adirondacks, some of those houses are really, really old. And so, they have a lot of history, and you just kind of expect those things, I guess.
Right.
I'm hoping to find some really old houses down here. Finding out that this town not the town we live in, but Pensacola is actually older than St. Augustine. I am hoping that we'll find something really interesting. St. Augustine's been currently, lived in the longest, consistently, but, we're about 6 years older than St. Augustine here in Pensacola. So,
But you do have Georgia right next to you, which has a lot of history too.
Yeah.
Savannah. We have Alabama.
We're not that far from Alabama or Tennessee. And
we have like 6 forts within 100 miles. All Civil War forts. You got.
Been to 1.
We've been to 2.
2. That's
Fort
right.
Morgan.
2.
And Fort Gaines. And then you've got another fort in Spanish Fort, which is not called Spanish Fort, but there's one up there. And then there's another one. There's Fort Pierce, and there's Fort McNee. That's where the lighthouse is. And then you go a little bit further. You've got we got a bunch of Air Force bases and Army bases. So you got shit there. Got sunken ships. It's going to be interesting when we finally get out and start going to places when it's not 115-degree heat index and I'm not just out of the ER. Because we were talking about doing something on Sunday, and he goes, I don't think it's good for you to be going to this place. We were going to go to the Bluffs thing, Carl. We were going to go there, but we looked at it, and there's a whole buttload of stairs. And Ron goes, I don't think it's a good idea for you to go do that when it's this hot, just out of the ER.
No, you don't want to.
So, but yeah, we're looking forward to finding all these things. But yeah, there's Civil War battlefields not that far away from here as well. Plus a bunch of plantations.
Yeah, plantations would be good.
A lot of Native American history down there as well. A lot of Native American history. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only that, you got the Spaniards and the French fighting over every damn thing down here. And one of the times we were driving back and forth between here and Kansas City, just north of here in Bruton, Alabama, there's a creek called Murder Creek. And I said, well, that's a really unusual name. And I look it up, and that's not what the name of the creek was prior to the Revolutionary War. And you think Revolutionary War in Southern Alabama. You don't even think about the two in the same sentence.
No, you don't.
So it's got a really interesting history. So I want to know more about that. But all I did was, kind of read the Cliff Notes version because I don't want to have too much knowledge before I go. But it goes across Interstate 65 too. So I mean, it's a really long creek. But yeah, at some point, I want to know more about the area that we're in, and we will.
That's like the area we live in up here, especially where our cemetery's at and everything. You have Civil War, you have the cavalry, you have Indians, you have the Mormon Wars up here that they had in Caldwell County, Missouri back then. And it all comes together right just about where our cemetery is located, within 3 miles of it in any direction. And
That's a current history.
And it reports of the sheriff's department have seen soldiers on horseback out there. They don't even go out there no more. Denise seen the Indians watching us through the timber. Matt seen a battalion of soldiers down in the pasture by a creek.
Camped out.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of activity out there. So it's always fun to research it.
She's
And
running around like
The worst thing about where we're located at in Caldwell County down here, where I used to be located, you can't really research a lot of it because the courthouse burnt down with all the records 3 different times back in the 1800s. So there's not a whole lot of history that you can research on it.
Yeah, the only history you can research on up there is if it was in somebody else's newspaper and you find it by accident, by digging. No, all the puppies aren't gone, but 2 are. And we got a 3rd one that's hopefully leaving soon.
Right.
You know, the property that we bought, when you buy property in Oklahoma, there's a whole entire booklet they give you. It's an abstract of everything that's ever happened with the property, anybody who's ever lived there, everything.
Really?
And our property was originally Cherokee land, and then a half Cherokee, half American woman owned it. And we thought we were going to find something interesting. We went through that whole book, and there was nothing interesting whatsoever that we know of.
Right.
The thing is what's left out. You know,
What was that?
Historically speaking, what's left out? What has been sanitized?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it only goes back to 1902.
1902, when it was recorded to be actually taken from the Indians and sold and given to that first Native American woman. Yeah. I mean, so there's hundreds of years prior to that.
Yeah, there's hundreds of years prior to that probably something happened on that property, but to research it may be hard.
Well, as soon as we're done with the renovation and we can actually relax, we might go explore.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to see. You got to go on Mike's page and see his house. I love that front porch and the upper deck that you're building on there. That is sharp.
It's a mess right now because everything's torn apart. I mean, we gutted the whole house.
Yeah. And we had to stop painting because it got so hot. I couldn't continue painting outside. So the upper half of the house isn't painted yet. So, but yeah, it's coming along.
Yeah, you don't want to paint when it all becomes skin.
Yeah, yeah. I don't do well in heat anyway, so you know, I'll wait until fall.
There you go.
Yeah, we're talking about what we're.
It was hot down there today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said what? 111 heat index down there, Mike?
Yeah, it was only 101, but it was 111 heat index, and it was brutal. I mean, for me, you would think doing HVAC in Florida, I was in attics every single day. It's 10 times worse in Oklahoma. It really is.
Yeah.
If there's no breeze going, it sucks. At least here, you got the humidity that at least you'll be sweating enough to get cooler. You know, I don't think people realize it. They talk about, well, the dry heat's different. Yep, dry heat's great. You don't sweat so much, but you're not getting cooled off if there's no breeze. Period. Hot is hot. I mean, let's leave out the humidity altogether. It's over 95. It sucks. It doesn't matter who you are. It's hot and it.
Yeah, it's hot.
Now, what we're looking forward to is doing this show again in February when you guys are under blankets and minus 25. And we're like, well, it's
60.
65 out here.
They're going to rub it in.
Yeah,
Is what
It doesn't happen here.
We don't get that cold.
We don't get winters like that here. I think the coldest, we had a cold snap last year. I think we
Yeah.
had 3
December.
days that maybe it was in the teens. I mean, we still grow peppers outside till December, you know, so we don't have, not like the Northeast, not, you know, we're very used to the Northeast winter, so.
But we've
Yeah.
got used to in Kansas City having
Yeah, we just
being,
had one,
you know,
about 1 or
20
2
below.
bad weeks.
Yeah, 20
last
below
year.
in the wintertime.
Oh.
Feels
yeah.
like this year wasn't bad. This past winter wasn't
Yeah,
bad.
we had that 2
No.
weeks or week in December.
Yeah,
The
we
last
had a
2 of
week in
December.
December that was cold.
Yeah,
but
really
the rest
cold.
of the winter wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And
It was.
I mean,
It was like it was
yeah,
trying
we're
to talk-
used to. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, you got your wind chill up here, but actual temp.
Tammy's gonna get running. She's
Okay,
So hot in here and I got orders coming in and I'm like, I gotta get it done. But next week I'll jump on for longer.
Okay.
okay.
Take care and feel
Bye
better.
guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, Tammy.
yeah. It's actually my podcast studio is in my grow room, so
Oh.
that doesn't.
No,
yeah,
it
that doesn't.
don't.
Help.
It doesn't help.
I mean, my
No.
grow room's not really active right now because everything's outside in the ground, but I have tobacco that I started because I'm trying to get a crop of tobacco done before the season's over. So,
Oh, really?
yeah,
That's
I'm trying. I'll super grow it so I can cut 55 days down to about 30 days. So I'll super
Oh.
grow it in the grow room before I put it outside in the full sun.
Are you planning on making cigars?
No, cigarettes. I'm not like Carl or you guys. It's expensive here. Cigarettes doubled in price in the last 4 years.
I don't smoke. Never have.
Yeah,
Good for you.
it's got expensive. I mean, Arkansas down there. Good thing I took them down there with me. I went into a store to get something to drink, and I was looking at the prices, going, "Oh my God, how can people afford to smoke down
I
there?"
quit. Yeah, it's usually people that can't afford it.
It's the
Who's
tax.
And you know what's funny? Like I cut down to about 2.5 packs now, but usually I smoke, especially when I'm high stressed and business is going crazy. I'll smoke 3.5 to 4 packs a day.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I know the feeling. I drove over the road for 20 years. I lived
Yeah.
on coffee and cigarettes. It was nothing to go through 4 and 5 packs of cigarettes a day
Holy.
Yeah.
just to stay awake with your coffee.
Right.
Driving down the road from Kansas City to LA or LA to Hackensack, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Stuff
I'm sorry
like that.
you had
They
to go to
won it
Hackensack.
yesterday. Hey, I got stuck in Hackensack over a weekend. That was not.
Hackensack's no prize.
No, it is not. It is a dump.
Patterson's no prize either, but
No, Patterson's not. I mean,
No.
there's a lot of
Actually,
places up there in the
Patterson-
Northeast.
Patterson was not that bad in 1968 to 1972.
you want to know what I used to rehab Section 8 housing. So I was in Elizabeth, Newark, East Orange, Patterson, everywhere. And when I was in Patterson, I actually helped out one of the head gang members of the Chelsea projects. I'm sure you know what the Chelsea projects are. And I helped out one of the head gang members because he had no heat, and I got his heat running. And he was trying to give me money. I said, I don't even worry about it. It took me 5 minutes to fix it. I'll tell you what, I worked that whole neighborhood for 2 years. I never had to worry about a thing. No one ever touched my truck, nothing.
Yeah. See, I lucked out. I talk about it all the time with Ron. You know, it was so safe that we had kindergarten, and kindergarten was all day. But you walked to school. You did what you had to do. You came home for lunch. So you walk home, you walk back to school, and walk home. I was doing that at 5 years old by myself. So from Patterson Avenue to school number 5, back and forth. So think about that. How many
Different
5-year-olds would you see walking to and from school twice a day by themselves? You know, yeah, I walked by a fire station every day. They saw me, you know.
I was originally from Brooklyn, so I know you're talking. I mean, I remember when our parents used to send us to the store for cigarettes at 5, 6 years old.
Mine
Yeah.
is with a little note.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
a little note. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
buying it for mom, dad. Yeah.
They did that.
My neighborhood was a little different, even though it's all Chinese now. But my neighborhood was, if you didn't live there, you didn't come down those streets. That's just the way it was.
Yeah.
I come from a totally different background than a lot of people are used to.
We were watching OP Live. You know, when they first started out, they had Patterson on there as one of the police departments. And I was shocked as shit when they never went down Patterson Avenue, because that's where I lived.
Well, the same to me,
but yeah, it was just weird looking at all that. You know, how many things are still the same as they were in, like I said, 68 to 72. But is it still the same? Yep, still the same. Just school number 5 is not school number 5 anymore. You know, it's a community center.
Well, things are the same. The environment just changes, you know?
I mean, yeah, I've heard some things about the area, but I was too little.
And being a medium, all those areas are great. Like all the old buildings in Patterson or Elizabeth or Newark. I mean, there's so many old buildings there that are just wild. I mean, you'd probably get a lot of things over there that normal people don't even know about.
It was even strange back then, you know, being my very first out-of-body experience was on Patterson Avenue. So it was in an apartment building that's no longer there. So, I mean, it's weird when you think about when you go backwards in time, because, I mean, I can still see that day, you know, clear as a bell. I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday.
Nothing.
Oh, actually, I do remember what he had for breakfast. We went to Whataburger yesterday, but yeah, I can't remember half that crap of what I did yesterday or the day before. But I can remember that very first out of body experience. But the second one, I'll never forget, no matter what. But the first one, I shouldn't remember. I was 4, so it's kind of like you seeing yourself. You may not know everything that happened or how long, but you're going to remember the visuals of all of that and any words that you heard that were something that you needed to know at that time. It's strange, but did you say where you live in Oklahoma?
Right now, I currently live in Wagner, but I'm moving to Fort Gibson. That's where the new house is.
So where is Fort Gibson in relation to Tulsa or Oklahoma City?
It's like, Tulsa. Well, I guess it's like central eastern Oklahoma. I guess I'm only about 45 minutes away from Tulsa.
Okay, because we went
40 minutes. About 40 minutes.
Okay.
How far are you away from Joplin, Missouri?
I don't know about Joplin. I know Missouri border. I'm about an hour and a half, 40 minutes.
Okay.
Oh,
I drive through Missouri every time we go up north.
No, not too far.
There's a weird town
outside Oklahoma City.
Pitcher, Oklahoma.
That one.
Yeah. Pitcher, Oklahoma.
No, he is a ways from that because that's right by the border of Kansas.
Kansas. Ah.
And so that's about 3 hours away from me.
Well, yeah. Just read up on it. It is a weird story. This town died.
It's a ghost town.
It's a ghost town now. And the weird thing is that the chat killed the town. You know, it was
a mining town, and
the chat killed it basically.
Was it lead or
lead.
It was lead.
And then
found I had lead in it.
So they told all the people to leave, and the people that wouldn't leave got wiped out by a tornado. So it was like God was saying, "No, we're done." And not only that town, but the town next to it, the roads have kind of collapsed in on themselves and things like that. Kind of like Centralia, Pennsylvania, that's constantly on fire. This isn't on fire, but it's similar. The roads are caving in and all that. But yeah, it got wiped out by a tornado after it made it through. The people decided they weren't leaving. But that town it's weird. There is an Indian casino right at the edge of the property. And I was like, really? but just research it. It made me laugh.
I'll definitely look it up.
Yeah. You said when you go north, you was up in what, Minnesota or Wisconsin here a while back?
No, when we go up north to like upstate New York, we'll travel through Missouri.
Oh, okay. So you hit 44 and go through St. Louis and up that way.
Yeah. Yeah, we take a couple of different ways. It all depends if we want to take mid-state or lower state. It depends if we want to see. We like to see the surroundings. Sometimes we've traveled all over the country. So usually when we go up north, sometimes we'll just go off track and check stuff out, before we actually make it to the destination.
Oh yeah, that's the best way to travel.
Last time we turned 21 hours into 28 hours because we wanted to go see the countryside of Pennsylvania, which was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Hello to Ghost House Paranormal joining us.
Yeah.
When Ron came out to get me to marry me, they came across 70. And he said, I swear it kept saying that it was 70 miles, something like that, some number kept saying it was this far away. And he goes, I swear I drove that far and I was still, doing this kind of crap. And I told him, I said, that's why we always took 64.
Well,
so,
and in their travels, they always check out places that spirits one way or another, spirits in a bottle or spirits in the house. So
sometimes both at the same time.
Yeah, sometimes both same time. See, you've been to Jack Daniel's distillery down there and investigated or walked through that, didn't you?
Nah, Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo
Trace.
It's in Franklin County, Kentucky.
You can't hardly find anything they make anymore.
Because they're selling out, not because of any other reason.
Yeah,
But the oldest house in that county is on their property, and my goodness, it's amazing when you go back. I mean, it's one of the longest, if not the longest, running distillery in the country. So
that's cool.
But we just love going to the distilleries and learning the history of, what they've done. But I always tease everybody that it's our Spirit and Spirits tour. So, and then afterwards we go to the local liquor store and Ron becomes everybody's spirit guide.
Yeah.
but that's the great correlation, like, especially for both of you, like history, like I love history and the paranormal just goes with it. Like that's why that's why me and Tammy are like, because I mean, she loves history too, but she loves all that paranormal stuff. For me, listen, I'm boring. I don't even think spirits want to come near me or talk to me. So, so I like the history part of it. Yeah.
Well, without the history, you don't have paranormal. You have nothing to tie it back to. How can you validate anything if you don't have, first off, questions? If you don't have any questions, you're not going to get any answers. And I don't know how many people think of it that way, but that's how I see it.
Well, it's like when you go on one of these tours and the tour guide's got to tell you this story of what happened here and happened here. It's already imprinted into your brain. So when you go to investigate it, you think, well, this is what I'm going to hear. This is who I'm going to talk to. This is what I'm going to see. We like going in blind, not knowing anything about the place. That way, if something happens, then we research it and correlate it and tie it back to something.
Well, how about at Malvern, Malvern, Iowa, the first time we went there? Okay, a friend of ours had spent quite a few days there, and he told us what happened to him. That was it.
It wasn't no history.
He got picked up and thrown against the wall. I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting.
And held there.
Okay, this is a reputable guy. So we knew he wasn't making it up. So we get there. They let us in. We get in there. I don't know, some other person let us in. The owner hadn't even showed up there yet. we're there 5 minutes. We're trying to pick out. We had 20 something people coming.
But it was just me and you at this
It was
time.
just me and you at that point, and we were waiting on some others to show up. We got there early. We were in there 5 minutes. Okay, we hadn't had a tour or anything. We're getting set up, and all of a sudden she gets a look on her face like she's in pain. I went, what happened? She goes, look at my back. Well, it looked like somebody took a drill bit and just jabbed it in her and just went all the way down her back.
And the reason he says drill bit was because one was thrown at me.
But yeah, it was something sharp. And I was like, what the hell? We weren't even there 5 minutes yet. And then,
well, that's when you know it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, the owner shows up and he goes, hey, glad to see you. And, she's like in pain and everything. And he goes, what happened? She told him. He looks at it and he goes, where'd this happen? And she said, in this room back here. He goes,
that's my office.
Crap, that's my office.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've seen Denise get scratched.
Here we go.
I don't know how many times.
Yeah. Oh, this one was a nasty one there.
It lasted for
that
days.
one stayed a while. So I'm thinking, wow, not even here 5 minutes. That was welcome. Get the hell out.
Well,
welcome here.
Get out of here.
And what's really funny?
Oh, it was an interesting night. Believe me.
My cousin, who I hadn't seen since she was a teenager, maybe 13, 14 years old. She lived just down the road, and we invited her to come so that I could see her. And so the first thing she's hearing is, "Oh my God, Denise got scratched."
That's all everybody's.
Not. Hey, cuz, how you doing?
Yeah.
It's Denise got scratched, and let's look at this. So
Right.
It was just, and I mean, I hadn't seen her in 20 years, and here's what she's seeing. So it's weird. I really wish I could tell people how to keep from getting touched by a spirit. It would be great.
You're not the one to ask.
Yeah, I'm not the one to ask.
No.
She's been scratched up pretty good about everywhere.
I'm the AT&T of ghost hunting. Apparently, there's a sign on me that says "Reach out and touch someone." And apparently,
we've been hundreds of places. I mean, a lot of these places we've been to have been on TV. Also,
yeah.
I've never been scratched. I've been to the same place that she has. Not one time. They carve her up like a pumpkin.
You know what? It just might be some energy thing, where I mean.
What we think is she's not
up
paying
stuff.
attention to them, so they're letting her know, pay attention to us.
Right. I mean, they're probably not going to bother me because I'm not really seeing them or hearing them or anything anyway.
Yeah.
So,
That's the way with me. I don't see them and I don't hear them unless it's through one of our devices that we have. But the only time, let's see, I was scratched at the Sally house up there in attack.
Yeah, you had a shocked look on your face.
Oh, I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. What'd I do?
Yeah, I didn't do nothing.
I know that was the look you had. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why are you picking on me?
And then,
See, I've never been touched or anything. I mean,
yeah.
I feel a presence, like especially when I was in that house in Elizabeth on Fulton Street. That was
right.
I felt like there was someone here at all times. I was working and doing plumbing, and they were hovering over me. And I heard footsteps and things like that, but I never felt anything or had any experience like that.
Now I have. It was at Sally house in the basement. I had a group down there, and these people were claiming in the back part they're seeing these different colored lights up in the corner. Well, there's nothing outside. It was in the basement. You couldn't. There's no lights up from the outside. I'll put it that way. And I'm sitting there staring right at it, and I said, in this corner right here, and it was dark. I didn't see anything. And then they said, no, in the corner. And I said, all right, I'm going to put my hand up here. I said, if you guys can just barely see it, tell me where it's at. Well, when I kind of stuck it in the corner, it felt like I put my hand in a spider web.
Mhm.
I mean, I could feel like, you know, that the
Tingling.
spider web, the tingling go all the way down my arm and my shoulder. And I thought, what? You know, I kind of shook my arms like, what the hell was that? And I put the flashlight on. I was like, well, there's no spider webs of any kind there. So that was,
You know, it's so tough in daily life because being a contractor, and Carl knows, you know, I have so many things happen to me all day long.
right.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I get cut up and bruised, and I mean, all day long. You know, because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
constantly. So it's like I don't know if anything would ever happen to me in any of these houses anyway, because I'm always moving.
Right.
I'm always getting cut and bleeding, and you know, something's happening to me on a job.
Now, a lot
Yeah,
of
it
places we've heard about and we've talked to, you know, like you're a contractor. They said they were in there doing the work, and sometimes the work that they did that day got reversed, or their tools would come up missing or moved
Mhm.
when they know that, you know, they
But
knew.
remember too, contractors lose their tools all the time.
I
They
know.
misplace them all the time. I
Yeah.
put things down that I turn around and I'm like, I swear I put it here and it's not there.
Exactly.
I never linked it to
Exactly.
paranormal.
But some of these places, what they did is that they kept noticing it kept happening too often. So they would specifically say, okay, we're putting our toolbox here or hammer here, and they would make notes of it. And the next day it was all moved and no one was in there.
Mhm.
There's a
Yeah, I'm so
and they weren't
busy.
in the paranormal. These people weren't. They just thought, you know, after a while, it's like something weird is going on. I mean, they weren't suspecting paranormal. They were suspecting somebody's getting in there and doing this stuff.
squatters.
You know, squatters or
Yeah.
People.
yeah, somebody.
But one of those places is like, check out the Croak Patterson house.
Oh, in Denver,
In
yeah.
Denver, this place is now a bed and breakfast. It's really an expensive bed and breakfast. It's like $300 a night. During the renovations, many times they've had renovations. One of these times they had done all the work. They were getting ready to clean up and go home for the night. They just said, we're going to leave all this stuff here. Next morning they come in, all the drywall's down. It's all stacked up. Everything's stacked up by the door, ready to go. So they're like, what the hell? So the owner says, hey, you guys didn't do your job. Get back in there and finish it. They finish it. They take pictures and they tell the owner, you know, we're done. Happens again. They go and they get some watchdogs. They get some
Two German Shepherds.
Two German Shepherds. That's all they do, and they lock them in there overnight to roam the place. They come the next morning, and the guy opens the door, and none of the dogs never came to him. Found that one was just shuddering, you know, in the corner. The other one had jumped out the window out the back and was dead on the ground. So they do it again with Dobermans, and it happens again. And this is all documented in Denver's history, you know, because it was, you know, people were checking this out, and because it just kept happening. This place has a really bad haunted history, and it took them 15 years to finish the renovations on this place because they kept losing contractors. I mean, if you did all your work and you're not going to get paid for it, you're going to leave.
Right.
So that's one of the things. I mean, they took me on a walking tour of downtown Denver, and they spent probably 20 minutes telling me the entire history of the Croak Patterson house. So, and the only reason I remember it is because it's Patterson. You know, that's the only reason that meant anything to me. But it's a beautiful red brick place. And I told him, I said, if I ever get a chance to stay there, I want to stay there. But they did finally get it done eventually. Boy, it got dark really fast.
It did. Light and dark again. Here we go with your camera.
It's nice outside, nice and blue sky. But it's just
I mean,
next to the window.
I've been in so many vacant houses, you know, because I used to rehab Section 8 housing. So I've been in so many vacant houses, and that Fulton Street was the worst in Elizabeth. I lived in a lot of old houses too, late 1800s, but I've had other people experience things. I've never experienced it.
Why do you think that?
You know, I mean, I've had lights. I had lights turn on. Could have been a coincidence, lights turn on or off. But it's tough. I'm always moving, so it's tough to know if I turned a light off or if I turned a light. I might just not notice it.
Well, that's a good way to be, because you don't want to be non-skeptical. Like last night.
You don't want to think everything's paranormal.
Yeah. Like last night, our TV came on in our bedroom. Not a big deal. Some people might think so, but it was YouTube Kids. So I know that one of the kids sent YouTube Kids to the TV, not knowing which TV they were sending it to.
Right.
But again, being skeptical also makes you aware of what's going on in your surroundings. Just because you hear something doesn't mean it's paranormal. It's like, have you ever heard buzzing in the walls?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It could be a beehive.
Yep.
Could also be you got a bad electrical connection. But it does not mean that you've got something bad going on. Same as scratching in the wall.
Yeah, we had a lady down in Nevada, Missouri call us. We went down there. She said her and her husband, she said the kitchen was they're getting some weird stuff in the kitchen. But she said probably the worst thing or the scariest thing is we hear scratching at night in her bedroom up on the ceiling. And I went, oh, okay, that's weird. We went in there, didn't hear anything. She said, well, it seems to happen more at night. So she's in the kitchen kind of looking around. And I said, well, I'm going to walk around back, just see what's going on. Well, I walk around back. They got a tree in the backyard. They got, I don't know, 2 or 3 branches at least growing
to the house
on the roof. And I'm sitting there going, I went, well, I wonder if it's like, the branches are scratching. The guy goes, oh, no, that's impossible. And about that time, I see a squirrel come down the tree limb, gets on the roof, goes underneath the eaves of the house, and is gone. I went, okay, there's your problem. And he's like, oh, no, that can't be. I'm like, I just saw the squirrel go up, basically up above the roof.
And they scratch on everything.
Oh, yeah, they'll get in there.
Eat everything.
They'll get into the insulation. They're pulling that for their nest.
Not to mention
that's usually the first thing that happens before paranormal investigators come is they send an exterminator in to see if there's anything in the attic or anything like that. I mean, I just remembered a story. My Uncle Phil just passed away last year. He was 93, and he was a great artist. I mean, great artist. He taught me everything I know. And I remember he was painting a picture of his mother, and he didn't finish it, and he walked away, and that picture lifted up and slammed against the wall, and he finished that painting that night.
Mm-hmm.
And that story lives on in my family. I told you, a lot of my family members, they'll haunt each other. They will. I mean, crazy stuff.
It's fun. So.
Oh yeah, I always tell everybody if I die, I'm haunting everybody on purpose.
Yeah. The other part of that story was in the kitchen they had unshielded electrical that wasn't even grounded, and they had a 3-year-old that was climbing around. I told him, you got to get that fixed.
Yeah.
I said that will cause all kinds of problems. Not to mention the fact that your kid could get electrocuted.
You look at how many people, especially in some older homes and everything, the electrical box is on the other side of their headboard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In their bedroom. And they wonder why they have dreams, bad dreams, or think something happened in there. It's the EMF coming off that electrical box.
Yep.
Yeah.
And especially if it's unshielded and not grounded correctly, you can get a headache from hell.
Well, that's proven with meters, with electrical meters itself. And I know that just being a contractor, I know that it emits a lot of
EMF.
I guess you guys call it EMF. I mean, it's really radioactivity that it releases.
Exactly.
And then add in, hey, your sewer. If your sewer's not venting correctly, it's going to cause problems as well. Hallucinations, illness, things like that. That's one of the things that always gets me on a lot of, like, especially
She's wanting out.
on like dead files. Every once in a
Yeah.
while, Steve will go and have somebody come out, but not always. And it makes you wonder, how often is that actually being checked out in some of these locations? I know in the early days of ghost hunters, wait a minute, move my foot. There you go. The early days of ghost hunters,
And a cat that wanted out.
they would check that stuff out because, they were, roto-rooter. So they would check that. I mean, I think the first season, you would see them go down in people's basements and check all that stuff. Eventually,
they check the sewer, they check wiring, everything. That's your first thing you got to check in the house.
And I think that
And then
people
you're
need
going
to do that still.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they jump from it's grandma. Grandma hated that toilet. She's got to be in there flushing that sucker all the damn time. I mean, I wish she'd quit flushing the toilet.
Or most of them paranormal investigators will go in and go, okay, we're here to investigate, and they'll just set up. They don't check anything,
Right.
perimeter, nothing out there.
Being a contractor, there's so many variables.
Yep.
And I've been in this business a long time. There's so many variables. I mean, I just tore out thousands and thousands of feet of wiring because I didn't trust it because of things like that. Anything can happen. Electrical can be open, toilets can be, I mean, there's so many different variables. And as a contractor, I think it's easier for people who are in a general contracting position who do everything to really be able to debunk a lot of that stuff before.
Right. Because you're always looking for something, like when we're remodeling the renters' houses and stuff, and go in and check this and check that and go, okay, we got to get this fixed or it's going to cause another problem down the road. And especially the wiring in this house we've been doing over in Chillicothe has been a nightmare from hell. They had ceiling fan in there, which is great in the bedrooms, but they had a switch that had a knob on top and an off and on switch on the bottom. You got wires running here and there. Putting a new ceiling fan in and a new switch, you got to trace every wire down to see what's crossing and back crossing. And, oh, God, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, the house that I bought, like I said, it was built in 2001, so it's not that old. The property's old, but it was built in 2001, and it was never really finished. So whoever was trying to finish it really did a horrible job. I mean, it was half rock. Most of the studs were exposed, but the electrical was so horrendous. I mean, I ripped out 3/4 of it. I mean, I've never seen so many junction boxes and things ran here, ran there, things that weren't hooked up. I mean, I was literally opening up sheetrock, ripping out the old sheetrock, and found cut 220 right in the wall.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
How did it pass inspection?
It didn't.
There's no inspection. I bought that. See, I'm one of the very few people who can buy a house like we just bought, me and my wife, because we can finish it.
Right.
But the house, it was never finished. It never had a C of O. It was never finished because it was never. I mean, it was framed, and then whoever came in to buy it did a few little things, and that was it.
Yeah.
Right.
It was all basic electrical, horrible, but basic electrical, basic everything.
Plus, where you live at is kind of like where we live at, out in the country, rural area. Codes aren't a big deal,
Right.
out in these rural areas.
It's not like New Jersey where everything's on the money and has to be perfect. Like here, if you go talk to the inspector, he'll tell you just don't piss off the neighbors. Swear.
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, I still do everything to code because that's just what I'm used to. I've been doing it in my life, my whole life like that. So when I went in there, I was just like, oh no, me and my wife ripped out everything. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I'm working a miracle because I paid a little more for the property than I wanted to. So we're working a miracle with our budget, but we're making it happen.
Oh, good. Good.
I wish you all the best on that.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. And maybe we'll see something on the property and be able to tell you about it.
But I know
Hey.
that my family was on the Trail of Tears. So I know that there's a lot of crap in Oklahoma that they probably have their very own Skinwalker Ranch in Oklahoma somewhere that we
Probably
haven't
do.
heard about. There is one in Georgia. I don't know where it's at though. There's a guy who's got a book out about it, but yet they've never released the location of it. So maybe
Well, I'm in Fort Gibson, where there's an actual fort from way back when. I didn't do my research on it yet. That still exists today. They have it all, done. So I'm curious to see what battles were around my area.
Right.
I'm always, I don't know how many battles there were, how many skirmishes or anything like that, but it's strange when you look at certain areas that, the map is dotted all over the place, and then other places there's one. We used to live by Meridicine, where John Brown and his people killed a bunch of locals back in the day. That started the border wars between, with Quantrill traders and all that history there along the Kansas and Missouri border is really interesting. And it's hard to keep track without a scorecard as to which side they were on. So,
well, I have a question for you too, because you know the Pumpkin House in Long Island, right?
I've heard of it.
All right, so research that. I know the true history behind it, and it is haunted, but I know the true history behind it because my aunt's best friend owned it before her son went nuts. And the reason he went nuts was because of acid. He was all hopped up on drugs, not because he was seeing spirits and stuff like that. But look that up. It's an interesting story.
I will look that up, and because I've made some notes here: Henrietta House, Inked Gardener, Pumpkin House, and the most haunted house in I don't remember it.
Oh, the Spy House. Well, it's called the Spy House.
Spy House, yeah. Ron loves the horse racing that they have up there.
Monmouth?
Oh, over in Jersey?
Yeah, Ron used to watch Monmouth racing.
I used to be at Monmouth track in the back with the horses all the time.
Yeah.
Well, one of my good friends, old man Sammy, we'll just keep it at that, owns a lot of horses, and I used to bring my kids over there to see all the race horses and everything. And Tammy actually used to breed thoroughbred horses and work with thoroughbred horses.
Oh, really?
We own parts.
Yeah, so some of the most famous bloodlines.
Yeah, we own parts of 7 horses. I think we own the shit end of them. Either that or the part that was eaten. I don't know, but it was interesting.
Part that was eaten.
Because we at least got to go to one stakes race in Fort Lauderdale or in Miami
Calder.
back in the day. So I can't talk.
I used to be at, when Meadowlands was still there, I used to be at the Meadowlands racetrack all the time. I used to be there probably about 3 times a week. And then Monmouth racetrack, I never betted at Monmouth or anything like that. I used to just go there because my buddy owned horses there, and but yeah, I love horse racing. But my wife, she used to, work with horses all the time. So actually, on a new property, I think we're going to get a horse, but an old mare, because my wife can't handle a young horse right now because she's been sick for so long. So she wants to get like an old mare, something that's already broken, and
right.
And
have you ever been to Cape May, New Jersey?
Oh, absolutely. I've been everywhere in New Jersey.
Isn't that one of the most neat places out there with the history? And we used to camp there.
There's a lot in New Jersey that people don't know about. So Cape May's okay, but you also have the World War I barracks at the end of Sandy Hook, which are great. Mm-hmm. I've been probably in every single nook and cranny of that entire base, all the underground forts and barracks. I've been through that whole entire place. That's really awesome. There's a lot of Jersey. People don't understand the history that Jersey has. I mean, it does. Believe it or not, like Red Bank and certain areas, all those houses used to be connected by underground tunnels. They now caved in, and some of the houses still have access to partial part of the tunnels.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that people don't know about the houses over there in Jersey. You know,
there was a lot of stuff that if I went back and told people about all the crap that we saw along the Passaic River, I think they would shit their pants. So
there's a lot of haunted places.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stories. There's places I've been to, but I was young and stupid, and you know. But there's a lot of haunted stuff in Jersey, a lot all over the place. I mean, Jersey's, you know, it's one of the original colonies, you know. So, I mean, and it was explored vastly. I mean, there's a lot of old history there.
Oh yeah, up in that Northeast, there's got to be a lot. The beginning of this country.
Yeah. The bad part is there, and this is me being, you know, living there for part of my life, is how bad the traffic is and how hard it is to get around everywhere. I miss some things from there still to this day. And, you know, Ron's got St. Louis pizza on his mind. I've got New Jersey style pizza on mine, you know, but you know, there's all these different things that make you go, I'd like to go back, but I don't want to go back, you know, so.
It's not the same. I went back about 10 years ago, and I was so disappointed. It just wasn't the same to me. And I never went back since.
Yeah, that's what somebody told me about.
How about if you went back to Baltimore, you're over there, you may not come out.
I may not come out alive.
No.
And I know it.
Oh, may not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my area is still very nice where I used to live in Monmouth County, but it's just not the same. It's not the town I grew up in. Everything changed so much.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Sometimes
know?
keeping it in your memory is sweeter than going back and trying to relive it.
Listen, I had a great childhood. I really did. I can't lie. I lived in a small town that was a square mile. It was just a great area. And then, I mean, even though we were from New York, I can't even say this, but everybody from New York slowly started moving in. And then it just changed so much.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you so much for coming on tonight. And I hope you'll come back and we can talk.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Thank you. This is a nice change for me away from politics and financial.
Well,
Oh,
and now
that's
I have
good.
some notes where I can test you the next time. So that'll be great because I didn't know anybody was coming on with us tonight. I'm glad Carl asked you to come on.
Yeah, I surprised Denise and Ron because I contacted you and everything, and you said yeah. And I was like,
I appreciate it. I wish my wife was on it because my wife is so interested in this. I wish she was on longer.
well,
We'll make sure.
Yeah, we'll get her.
we'll
on.
get her when she's feeling better and everything.
And you guys aren't
and
so
it's not
rushed
so
forward.
hot down there, you know.
Yeah. But I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Hey,
you're
that's no
welcome.
problem.
Thank you.
Tell everybody where they can find you, Mike.
Oh, you can find me everywhere. I'm on 7 or 8 different podcasts. I'm on YouTube panels, but you can find me on Facebook, Mike Rage. You can find me. I have channels all over called Rage Nation. I'm everywhere from Podbean to Rumble to I'm everywhere.
Mm-hmm. He is.
Well, thank you
So,
so much for coming
yeah.
on. And Paranormal Pride will be back on August 4th, whatever that Monday.
14th.
I think it's
Is
August
that when you got
August 14th.
Yeah.
Because our daughter's in town next week from
Yeah,
Vegas, so
14th.
I don't want
The
to
day
do a
you got
show.
your heart doctor.
So
Right.
August 14th, the Paranormal Pride will be back at 7 p.m. Central right here on Bill of Rights Network. I haven't had to say that in a while. And
Hopefully from a graveyard.
we will probably not be on here next Tuesday because
Okay.
our daughter's in town from Vegas.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's no problem. Next Tuesday, I'll probably be doing some stuff with some of our equipment, Echo Box and Spirit Box and everything like I used to do on the show. But everybody, thank you for joining us. Check out Things Network where we're live at over there. Check out the Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment page where we're live. And also check out Japan Paranormal where we're live in Japan. And on Rumble, find us on Born TV over there all the time. And we want to thank everybody in the chat rooms on Rumble and on Facebook pages over here. So have a good night. And we will see you next week here on Paranormal Nation Radio. Not so normal. Have a good evening.
Nah.